And that's, now that we're recording, that's where I'm at as far as these school shootings and that. I don't even want to know.
Yeah,
I don't even want to hear about it.
it's getting to be where like we're desensitized to it.
It's not that I'm desensitized, I'm just disgusted with it.
Yeah. By the way, this is BS with Joe.
Yeah.
We're BSing about.
We were talking about the Carmelo Anthony thing, and then we segued ourselves off camera into the FSU shooting. And my attitude is, I don't want to know about it. I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just I'm so over these school shootings.
Yeah. There was a shooting in Texas of a teenager who recorded himself after the shooting driving away. He shot at I think he killed 5 people or something like that at a school. And he said he did it because his family was all dead.
What?
I don't know much about it, but I did watch the video of him crying, not crying, but stating, I killed people and I had to do it because of my family and blah, blah, blah.
No, he didn't. He didn't have to do anything.
No, he doesn't. And that goes back to the whole thing where we were talking earlier about it's not if you go to prison, it's when you go to prison.
Right.
A lot of individuals, like that individual that shot up that school in Texas, it's not a matter of if, but when you go to prison.
Well, I mean...
Or you're
It's,
going to go out guns blazing and not go to prison.
It's, all right, do you believe in nurture or nature? I mean...
I believe in nature to a point. What I mean by nature to a point is basic survival things.
Okay.
Like, I need to eat. What can I eat? I'll try to eat that.
What I'm saying is, the inner city kid that grows up in the projects, do you believe that his condition dictates his future?
No. I don't want to believe that, but knowing...
I don't want to believe it either. I want them to have a way out. I want them to... just because you're born impoverished, this is America. But then again, the education system in America is not teaching people how to pull up their bootstraps and move on.
No, neither that and they're also teaching that American history is all slave owners and all this other stuff. And so we're going to talk about this subject as we're discovering now.
Yeah.
We normally talk a little bit what we're going to talk about, but
we're just figuring out what this one's going to be.
Yeah. And so I believe it's you're a product of your environment. So you try to get out of your environment to not be a product of that environment.
But do you? Because if you're accepting of the fact that you're going to end up in prison at some point in your life, you're not trying to get out of the environment. You're looking for ways to make money that aren't legal.
Correct. And I think a lot of that is because we've made it so hard to make money to even own a home.
Yeah.
Much less a nice car or anything.
The thing is, okay, so let's say you're this inner city kid that's living in the projects. You don't have the same opportunity that the suburban kid has that could, start delivering for DoorDash. Because this inner city kid that's living in the projects, if he signs up to DoorDash, there's nobody buying it. The job's not there.
Right. And you're right. They're having a harder time with opportunities.
Yeah.
Especially with stores closing.
Well, the stores are closing because of the theft and the vandalism.
Right.
And I don't blame them. Grocery stores and even superstores like Walmart and Target are pulling out of places like the South Side of Chicago and certain parts of New York, in LA.
Hold that thought, Joe. My wife's trying to get a hold of me on my watch.
Oh, okay.
Hey, babe. I'm recording an episode with Joe.
Oh shit, bye.
That's all right. Bye. Love you. She forgot. I told her. Where was I before I got interrupted? We were talking about inner city kids.
Yeah, we were talking about the
environment
opportunities.
and opportunities.
Because there isn't. Well, that's basically what I'm saying. Is there the opportunity that they're looking at as an inner city kid that's in, let's say Paramore,
Yeah.
here in Orlando,
Yeah.
or Pine Hills.
Yeah.
Right, well, maybe not Pine Hills. There's
Or
actually
even-
jobs in Pine Hills.
Or even because like living in Florida, there's a movie called The Florida Project.
yeah,
It's talking about how single mothers are trying to raise kids living out of a motel in Florida.
right.
And that happens a lot. There's motels all over Florida that people are living in,
There's a budget
Like
hotel
a-
in OBT,
like apartments that, you know,
and it's not cheap.
it's not cheap, but that it's the only way to survive anymore because rent is just
They don't
so
want- they don't wanna be
expensive.
homeless.
And they don't want to be homeless.
Yeah.
I have no problem with them doing what they can, but those
Yeah,
kids,
but they're paying a lot. I mean, a lot.
they are paying a lot of money.
They're paying more than they probably. Well, probably more than they would to rent an apartment.
Yeah, because in an apartment you could save money with groceries because you could cook your own meals and all this other stuff. But you think about it, if you don't have anything, you don't have a bed, you don't have anything like that. So an apartment would be more expensive to furnish than it would be in a motel.
It would.
But with the Florida laws, after so many days, they have to move out for one night or a week or however long in another area, then they could go back. So they're having to carry all their belongings. But it is a product of the environment, but there are ways out. It's increasingly harder to get out.
So, you know, this would be a good conversation to have somebody like Representative Mike Scott actually join us.
Yes, on what they could be doing to try to curb some of this or detail some of this. Because with the,
'Cause I need to send him an email to discuss. And I wanted to talk to him about the housing problem too.
yeah, and you look at what Democrats do in some areas like Baltimore and California. They throw money at it, but the money, you know, it's a quick fix.
They've got like outreach programs and things like that, you know. I think what they need to do is they need to put a trade school in there and teach them HVAC.
That's it.
and-
Giving them an opportunity to make money.
yeah.
Because what you're doing with the Democrat way of thinking of things is we're going to just provide them with the fish.
Right.
We need to teach them how to fish.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Put a trade school in there. Teach HVAC and plumbing and electrician. You know, because these people make money. These people make good money.
Or even just help them get their GED.
right.
And there's a lot of jobs in Florida, but not a lot of good education jobs or jobs where you can make good money.
Right.
A lot of it's like working at a theme park or working at a fast food joint.
Like I said in a previous episode, the median income in the Orlando metro area is only, what did I say, $39,000?
Yeah, $39,000.
That's poverty level.
That is very popular.
That's the median income.
That's median income. And you look at the rent and the cost of living in these areas is outstanding.
Right.
And a lot of it is because everybody's moving to Florida, which, I mean, population growth is good, but what kind of population are we growing?
Right.
Now,
And then we were talking about, they were talking, the Florida State Senate was talking about the property tax issue. And they were talking about, they just recently were talking about sales tax.
yeah,
And they were talking about dropping the sales tax by 0.75%. Now, to the average person that lives here, that means that they would be saving right around $100 a year.
right.
But the thing is, that would cost the state a ton of money because the majority of the sales tax revenue comes from tourism.
Yeah. I honestly don't want them to drop the sales tax. Drop the
Abs-
property tax, not the sales tax.
I agree, 100%.
The property
I think
tax.
this sales tax dropping thing is just gaslighting people.
Well, it's not gaslighting people.
Well, they're trying to tell the people that live here that it's a good thing for them to have the sales tax drop. No, it's not.
No, because if you're already that, if you're
You're
struggling,
not saving me any money.
yeah, if you're struggling that much, you know, you're not saving much money on diapers. You're not saving that much money on food, which really isn't taxed anyway.
0.75% is nothing.
It's nothing, but to the state, it's huge.
Right.
But where it'll help them help is it'll help the companies that are selling products because they could sell more product because they're not having to pay as much in tax.
But
Because
the state's gonna lose a ton of revenue from tourists.
yes, and companies are going to make more money off tourism. Because do you think these companies are going to drop that percentage?
So that's who
for
wants the
sales?
sales tax dropped?
I believe so.
Is
That's my theory.
this Disney and Universal that are pushing to have them reduce the sales tax?
It could be. Because then it would incentivize more people to buy more merch or buy more product here in Florida.
I know DeSantis is against the sales tax decrease.
Yeah.
He's all about property tax, which I'm all for.
Every Floridian wants to own
That's
property.
well, I mean, if you want to help the Floridians, yeah, drop the property tax. Let's talk a little bit about housing in Florida. Do you know how many houses are for sale right now in the market?
A lot.
Record numbers.
And no one's buying.
Right.
And they're dropping in price.
And record numbers of houses have been on the market more than 45 days.
Right. Well, you look at
Florida's in a housing crisis.
right. Well, it's because before COVID, houses were about good sized home was $300,000.
People right after COVID in 2021, 2022 were paying $60,000 to $100,000 over asking price.
Yeah, they were paying $500,000 for a house that's $250,000.
Right. And now they're looking at a market that's crashing.
Mm-hmm.
They're losing their shirts.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who told them to pay more than asking?
No one. So that's just like any commodity. You buy high, or you buy high, you sell low, you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
You buy low, you sell high, you're going to make a money.
It's just like with the, people freaking out about the stock market going down right now. But, I mean, for the last 15 years, you've been hearing economists saying that the stock market's overinflated and needs a correction.
Right. Well,
Here
you
we
look
go,
at
here's the correction.
you look at the majority of the stock owners are corporations.
Well, yeah, the Vanguard Group,
Over
the BlackRock
80%
Group.
of the stock market is owned by corporations and banks.
Yeah.
And normally it's supposed to be owned by the people, or even the employees of the company own some of their stocks, like Publix.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of pension funds and even IRAs, for that matter, they're invested in BlackRock and Vanguard, who are these, they're the big investment groups. They're the ones that have all the stock.
Mm-hmm. The American people don't own the stock.
No.
American people are broke.
The stock market crashes right now. It's really not going to hurt the American people.
It's not going to hurt a single individual. But yet the left is crying that it's the worst thing ever. Now, if the stock market did
It's
crash,
not like the 1930s when the people had stock.
no,
People don't have stock.
it'll still
Yeah,
create
you're going to
issues.
lose your retirement.
Well, you could even lose your jobs because you think about it. If these companies go belly up,
Right.
they're going to close doors and sell off the assets.
Yeah. Honestly, as far as Tesla's concerned, I think it's just about time to start investing in it again.
Well, yeah, actually, people have invested because the speculators dropped Tesla.
Yeah.
A ton of people saw that and invested, and a lot of it's more conservatives because they like what Elon Musk has been doing.
Right.
And
But,
Elon
yeah,
Musk has stepped away from Doge even.
That's true. He also stepped away from Tesla.
Yeah,
He still owns 12% of the company.
he owns majority shares of it,
He only owns 12%.
but that's majority of the shares, I believe.
Okay. He is the majority shareholder.
Yeah. See,
He owns more shares than anyone else.
Right.
But that doesn't make him owning the majority of the shares.
no, but it gives him the controlling shares, so he can direct the way the company wants to go.
To a point. He doesn't own 51%, so he can't steer it like a CEO anymore.
Well, yeah, but no one else owns more percentage than he does.
Correct.
Now, if somebody does, now they could decide, oh, we're no longer making the Cybertruck that Elon liked.
Right.
Because Elon wanted the Cybertruck to help subsidize the cost of the steel for the Starship,
Right.
which is a brilliant move.
Yeah.
And I like the Cybertruck. I want to own one day. I don't know if I'll
Wait.
ever own one. but I want to.
Don't buy the first year.
I'm not.
Just like any other car, don't buy the first year of the production, because there's all kinds of problems that get hammered out in the first year's production,
Oh yeah.
like the bumpers falling off and people try to tow, and
Well,
that's all gonna get corrected.
That's a design issue because it's an aluminum casting that doesn't have a high tongue weight, and they even state that it doesn't have a high tongue
I
weight.
know, but these are things that are going to be corrected with version 2.
Right. One of the things that people are having problems with that Tesla's bought back the Tesla's Cybertrucks for is the vault, the rolling door from the vault. Water's getting in and it's actually damaging the vehicle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shouldn't the bed be waterproof?
Yeah, but the mechanism where the vault door goes into, water's getting in there and causing issues.
That should be watertight too. They should assume that water's going to get in there and give it somewhere to drain.
Right, and I think they fixed the problem because I know the way Tesla engineers and their production.
Yeah.
They fix things continuously as it's being produced.
Got it.
So they've got it already fixed.
Okay.
That's probably why they bought those other Cybertrucks. Are going to be on another one probably.
They probably brought it back and refitted it, and then they're going to sell it again.
Well, they probably just took those and scrapping it and
They
then
might.
giving them another one.
Yeah. Might just use it for parts. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, housing
Housing.
is we're looking at worse than 2008 as far as the state of Florida is concerned. There's also a mass exodus going on in Florida.
To a point, there's still a lot of people moving to Florida, but you're having a lot of people who moved to Florida from COVID, and they don't like certain things about Florida, like the pollen, the humidity, the bugs.
Yeah.
That's all hurricanes.
If you don't like the bugs, you gotta live on the coast.
Yeah,
That's the only place in Florida there aren't bugs
yeah,
because of the wind.
yeah, yeah,
And that's the only reason they're not at the coast, is because of the wind.
yeah. Well, see, I came from New Mexico where there was not a whole lot of bugs. If you saw a bug, it was either a house spider, a housefly, or a scorpion.
Right.
A lot of people freak out over the scorpions, but hey, I lived with them.
I got this close to being stung when I was in Arizona
Yeah,
by a white scorpion.
yeah. They're not that bad.
It's just I was taking the garbage out and moved the can, and I reached down to pick up something that had fallen out of the can, and just as I was just about to reach it, I saw the tail sticking out, and I was like, "Oh shit! There's a scorpion underneath that."
Yeah, because they like going into shady, cold little areas.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fort Lee County, which is like Fort Myers, 23,000 homes in that county are on the market.
Well, see, I follow Zillow a lot because I want to see trends in the markets.
Right.
And so I'm always getting inundated now. Whereas, around COVID, you couldn't find anything.
Right.
And now I'm getting inundated with, oh, this property's dropped by 2,000. This property's dropped by 3,000.
I know, I get those too. Every day there's houses that are being dropped by a considerable amount of money.
That's good.
Yeah.
And
It's a market correction.
it is. Now, where I want to see the correction is in rental prices for rental properties.
Right. That's what I was just gonna say.
Because that's where your millennials, if you get a millennial out of the parents' home into an apartment, it gives them independence and it allows them to see what conservatives see.
Even the Gen Zs.
Even the Gen Zs.
I mean, a lot of the millennials are already turning towards the conservative side because they're starting to actually live in the world. But the Gen Zs they're in trouble because the economy is just not being kind to them. The way that what we've left for them is not a good situation.
Well, it's like the shooting at FSU. It was the son of a sheriff.
Yeah.
Who I'm sure he was loaded up on SSRIs because he can't deal with what's going on with the world and his current situation in it. I really feel for young individuals right now.
Yeah.
and that's where I see a lot of young individuals going towards faiths, which is great because it allows them to go, okay, it's a way for them, it's an outlet for them to deal with it.
Yeah. The other good thing about that is if they get involved in a church, then that's a group that can help each other.
Not only that, but it also helps with morality.
Yeah, it does. But it's just, I mean, whether you're joining the Christian faith or you join the Freemasons, whatever fraternal organization you choose to join, it can only be a good thing for your life.
Well, and it's even like sporting clubs, like bowling clubs, things like that.
That's not as much. That's not as much of a thing anymore.
It isn't, but
you don't have the softball clubs and
No.
the bowling the bowling leagues like crazy. I mean, around here, there's one. There's a bowling alley northeast Orlando. There used to be one on OBT, but it's been shuttered.
there's one on 192, Orange.
So this is what I'm saying. We have to think about where they are now.
Yeah, because there's very few.
10 years ago, you didn't have to think about it. You drove around and you'd find them.
Yeah, and anymore, they're more in tourist locations.
Yeah.
Like Splits in downtown or Disney Springs. I want to say downtown Disney. Goes to show you how long I've lived here in Florida.
At least you didn't say Pleasure Island.
Yeah. But it's communities. We've
Right.
lost our sense of communities.
We have, and I was just listening to a podcast the other day about it was talking to a woman who was in her 30s, and her thing was what is there for life? Where am I supposed to go now? Because she went through college, she got herself a good job. She's a scientific engineer. So she's got a good job. She's working more hours than she probably should. But her life consists of going home, eating, sleeping, going to work. That's her whole life.
And doom scrolling.
Yeah, and doom scrolling, exactly. And she was talking, and she was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What is this adulting? Because I don't like it. That's basically what she was saying. She was a millennial in her 30s. Yeah, that's a millennial.
And she probably doesn't have
And
kids.
she doesn't have kids. She's not married. She's a virgin.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, and that's
One of the things she was saying is that a lot of people assume that because she's a single woman in her 30s that she's promiscuous. No, she's a virgin.
Well, and that's the thing is, and I know Tim Pool talks about this. There's a lot more virgin men in their 30s.
It might have even been on Tim Pool's channel when I was hearing about this woman.
Yeah, it may have been.
Yeah.
Because I know he has a Discord, and I haven't been a part of his Discord, although I can because I pay for a subscription.
Okay.
And I might try to get a part of that because he's also wanting to bring on people who are like a part of the chat with podcasts and things like that.
Okay.
Which I need to do one night. Maybe we could both do that one night. But once housing becomes affordable and cars become affordable, people will leave their homes or leave out of their parents' homes.
The car market is another one that is in a correction phase because we talked a little bit before about the fact that the used car market is just out to lunch.
Yeah.
And right now, there's car dealerships going under left and right.
Yep.
Even new car dealerships are going down.
Well, even new cars. Because no one's buying them because they can't afford them.
Well, a lot of these companies invested in the electric car market, and it just wasn't there because nobody wanted it. It was just the Biden administration was pushing and pushing and pushing, and telling these companies that they had to do this, and it's costing them their business.
Right. Well, it's unfeasible for somebody that lives in an apartment to have an electric car. Where are you going to plug it in at?
Right.
Because you can't plug it into 110. You have to plug it into high voltage.
Right.
And
The apartment complex isn't going to pay the money to install those.
hell no. And who's going to electricity is going to be stolen from the apartment complex.
Right.
So it's one of those kind of things. No one's going to buy those except for homeowners.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's power stations. There's a couple. There's one underneath 408 in downtown Orlando by the courthouse.
some Wawas have Tesla chargers, but those are Tesla chargers. Those aren't regular chargers.
Right. Yeah, the ones that I was talking about, right underneath the highway there, there's the 3 of them in a public parking lot.
Yeah.
They're Tesla chargers.
Yeah, but the only and those are more people would use those for traveling, or if I desperately need a charge.
Yeah.
But because like I was listening to a short about a guy who bought a Tesla, tried to sell it back the day after because he couldn't charge it.
Yeah.
They knew it was an electric car. They knew they were going to have a hard time charging it, but they bought it anyway.
It reminds me of a short that I saw where a guy was talking about how to change the oil in a Tesla.
Yeah,
Did you see that one?
No.
That was funny.
that is funny.
It was funny.
But going back to the whole thing, things are becoming affordable.
Yeah, well, it's a market correction.
Market correction. It needs to correct a lot more because,
Pickup trucks were over $100,000.
well, they still are over $100,000.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Because how can a construction worker afford to buy a construction vehicle at that cost? Now, a lot of the reason why it's that cost is because they take a loan on it, and it's a business loan because it's a business purchase, and then it's a tax deduction.
Right.
But the thing is your business owners are like, I don't want to buy that if I'm going to trash it, so they buy a used one.
Mm-hmm.
And they trash that because it's a work vehicle.
Yeah.
And then once they have their companies established, they'll buy a new one that's fancy and say
That'll
it's
be
a
the sales truck.
that'll be the sales truck or whatever. And then once things go, once it gets old and paid off, then it's going to become the company truck.
Right.
He's going to, it's going to be used there, and it's going to be another tax deduction.
Right.
And that's a good thing. That increases sales, but there's not that many construction companies out there to afford to pay for those vehicles to be that high.
No.
But
No, the car manufacturers have priced themselves out of the market,
yeah,
and now they're crying about it.
yeah. But I think we're going to end that segment. But we'll be back with you with another topic.
Yep.
Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. If you like longer form conversations like this, let us know.